State Representative Robin Voss and Tim Dake. Okay, we're up here to talk about one thing, healthcare, and not the problem. We all know what that is. We're going to talk about something different. What we're doing about it. And yes, we are doing something. There's an old curse that says, may you live in interesting times. Well, I think we've got that covered. But what's interesting is what we are going to do about this. And let me explain what I mean by we. This event was put on by AFP and by the Racine Tea Party. And they did it with help with some other groups. Our group, the Wisconsin Grandsons of Liberty. There's also the Southeast Wisconsin 912 here. I saw the Ozaki Patriot sign over here. I've seen people from Conservative Insurgency, Janesville Tea Party, and many other groups. We've all gotten together and said there's got to be something we can do. A few weeks ago when the Senate voted for the health care, people were saying, oh, what do we do now? It's over. We've lost. That's the last thing we want to think, is that we've lost. I'm reminded of something that happened in the Revolution. John Paul Jones' ship, the Bonhomme Richard, was in a battle with the British ship Serapis, and it was sinking. He was losing. The topmast came down and took down his ensign. The captain of the Serapis said, have you struck your colors, sir? Do you ask for quarter? And he said, I have not yet begun to fight. And that's what we're going to do with healthcare. We have an idea. We got together and said there must be something we can do to put a stop to what Washington's shoving down our throat. We came up with an idea. We drafted a proposed amendment to the Wisconsin State Constitution that will protect our right to choice in healthcare and not be forced into a government-run system. We went looking for someone to help us. The Sheboygan Liberty Coalition got State Senator Joe Libum to sponsor it in the Senate. At the time when he did that, we became the 27th state to start to do this. We looked for somebody to sponsor it in the Assembly. The first couple of people we talked to said they would be happy to co-sponsor, but they couldn't pick up the fight. And the Christmas present happened to us. Right before Christmas, we found out that an assemblyman stepped up and volunteered to lead this fight for us in the Assembly. He stepped up and said, I will stand up for your rights. I will protect the rights of Wisconsinites. That man that stepped up for us is Racine's own Representative Robin Voss.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. You know, when I talked to some of my friends in Madison, the liberals, and told them that we'd be having a tea party here in Madison, they said, no, nobody's really going to come to it. And then they looked out their window last fall, or last spring, and they saw thousands of Americans standing before them, telling them that they have had enough. And that's why we're here today. Now, I will make one suggestion for the people who organize next year's: never put heaters next to the podium, because it makes the speakers talk longer. But I promise I will not be long. I want to take a quick minute to introduce some of my colleagues who are here, who are joining us in this fight to make sure that Obamacare does not sweep across Wisconsin. The first person I'd like to point out is my colleague from Oak Creek, who's fighting for jobs and small businesses, Mark Honadell. And I also have with us one of the true conservatives who represents Dane County, one of the people who's actually joining me in this effort. He's going to be number 2 in pushing it, and he's also a candidate for Lieutenant Governor, Brett Davis. So I just have a couple quick questions for you, and you can answer either with a cheer or with a boo. When they talk about what's happening in Washington, D.C. with Obamacare, and they say that it's going to reduce costs, do you believe them? When they use those tactics to twist people's arms on Christmas Eve to ram this through, was that a good idea? What about when they went to Mary Landrieu and said, we'll buy you off? How about when they went to Ben Nelson and said, what does it take for you to be the guy to bring it to us? How about when they said we're going to give away $60 billion to the unions? How about when they said we can ration your health care and call it more choice? That's because they know that the people of Wisconsin and the people of America are coming to the rescue. They know they know that people all across this country, just like you here today, are standing up for what we believe in. Our amendment is being introduced next week. What it will guarantee is that the people of Wisconsin get a vote at the polls to say whether or not you want to have a constitutionally guaranteed right to be able to pay your doctor and buy your own health care. So, when you walk out, you're going to see a telephone number that shows our toll-free legislative hotline. When you go home next week and you're sitting in your warm living room, please get out your phone, call the telephone number for the Capitol. Make sure you talk to your legislator and ask them to co-sponsor our constitutional amendment to guarantee you and your family and your children and your grandchildren the right to non-government run health care for the rest of our lives. Thank you for coming here today.
Thank you, Robin. Remember, ladies